Hey everybody, welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. It's Monday. It is time for Alpha Flight. We have reached issue number 11, the penultimate issue of the first 12 months of Alpha Flight's existence. June of 1984. We got Guardian, we got Snowbird, we got Sasquatch. To save the life of the woman he loves, he must face them. Set up. And another Moon Patrol ad. Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, February 29th. A rare day, and in this rarely visited one-room apartment, two very special people. So what we have here is a lady by the name of Delphine Courtney, who works for Roxxon Oil, and a man named Roger Box. This is his first appearance in the Marvel Universe in Alpha Flight. And by the way, we get no credits for this issue, but we do see some names on the bookshelf. Let's see if I can bring that close enough that we'll actually be able to read those. Will it focus? Might not. Well, I can tell you the names on that bookshelf are Lee and Byrne and Yankus and O'Neill and the one that I forgot and I can't read, and Shooter. In other words, the creators. So we got Roger Box. He's got a little mug with a cube on it. With a box. I get it. Drafting table. And so she has given him an offer to come join a very special group that's being formed by the head of Roxxon Oil. The fires of vengeance dwindle with too much contemplation. Yes, 24 hours and I'll be ready to join you. So, the fires of vengeance. What is going on with that? Well, let's find out. So Roger Box is an inventor. He has one of those wheelchairs with the, that's mobile, because obviously it does not have the use of his legs. And so he's trying, as she walks away, trying to inform Guardian of her arrival. And finds out that he's on vacation. He's like, oh, geez, I need to get a hold of him. Mr. Cody is still our official liaison to Alpha Flight. If I can reach him and get through him, get to Guardian, then it looks as if it's going to be up to us, old friend. So, what is this, old friend? Is that some kind of a robot or something? We'll find out. Meanwhile, Heather Hudson is saying goodbye to the home she's been in for the last 10 years, where she, married with her husband, James Hudson, Guardian. And she's moving to New York, where he's taken this job with Roxxon Oil. So it's it's a tender moment. And so off she goes. All the furniture's already moved, etc. Free Spider-Man comic book and Oreos. I'm in. So she's taking a ride to the airport and getting on her airplane. And there we go. Twin Towers, World Trade Center. It still hurts. So what's happening at Roxxon Oil? Well, there's a little gathering of some of the former members of Gamma Flight. Now you recall that the Canadian government's Department H had an Alpha Flight, a Beta Flight, and a Gamma Flight. Alpha Flight being the frontline superheroes that were there to defend Canada. Beta Flight was this sort of, folks that were not quite ready for Alpha Flight. We're almost there. Gamma Flight were the new inductees who still required a lot of training. And here we're meeting some of the members of Gamma and Beta Flight. And we'll get to know them all better. But they've been gathered here at Roxxon Oil. And they're kind of, having a fight and doing what villainous sort of folks do, and Delphine Courtney shows up and kind of gets them under control and sort of introduces them to one another. First, world-class engineer and mechanic without equal, Box. Our indestructible giantess, no known force can harm her, Diamond Lil. The living temporal anomaly, a man who can summon his own future, Flashback. The man with the computer brain, intellect unsurpassed, Smart Alec. And last, but by no means least, our resident killing machine, Wild Child. So there we have them. And now that the amenities are dispensed with, perhaps you could enlighten all of us as to the details of the project you invited us to join. All in good time, Mr. Thorne. There was one more introduction to make. I'll take care of myself, Delphine. I gave Delphine a rather deep voice. Good afternoon, my friends. My name is Jerome Jackson. I am the man who summoned you all to New York. You all have a basic idea of the project which I have conceived, and I can assume you all agree with it, or you would not be here now. We have all of us been given a glimpse of the gold at the rainbow's end, only to have that treasure snatched from us, directly or indirectly, due to the actions of one man, James MacDonald Hudson. That is what we are gathered here for, that we may crush his dreams as he has crushed ours. So, we are seeing the creation of Gamma Flight, who will be the superpowered enemies of Alpha Flight. Meanwhile, the aforementioned James Hudson, as Guardian, heading to the airport to pick up Heather. And when he arrives, he finds out that she's not there and was picked up by somebody else. The small white card grows suddenly heavy in James Hudson's hand as he takes it. The name seems engraved in letters of living flame. No, not Jackson. Not after all these years. He takes barely the moment necessary to clamp on the psycho-cybernetic helmet before he leaps skyward again. A sudden flare of electromagnetic energy rips his outer garments to shreds, falling. So, wow, man. He knows Jackson. He knows Jackson is bad news, and he knows that he has Heather. And so he heads to the headquarters of Roxxon Oil. Now realizing that this has all been a plan, this has all been a trap, and he gets the information now through his radio. Attention, Guardian. I know you can hear me. I know the frequency on which your cyber helmet operates. I am holding her in an office on the 43rd floor of number 1 World Trade Center on the east side. If you will come and surrender yourself, she will be released unharmed. I'll just bet. You messed with my life once before, Jackson, if you so much as breathed on Heather. So he storms in to the World Trade Center to deal with whatever is to come. And he's pretty sure with his super suit that he's not going to have a problem. And so we see here he's going through the halls, and with my battle shield on, there's no way he can hurt me, so I might as well play along. But the full impact of all this is just getting through to me. It must have been a setup all along. The job offer from Roxxon, everything. All to lure me down to New York and away from the rest of Alpha Flight. Well, that won't work. I've already sent the call signal. Uh-oh. What is that uh-oh for? We're about to get a splash page. Oh, I'm sorry. I called him Omega Flight. Golly. Listen, I'm an old man. Welcome, Guardian. Your lady is very near. Of course, you will have to go through us to reach her, and we have no intention of allowing that. But we are derelict in our duty as hosts. Allow us to reintroduce ourselves. We are Omega Flight, and we are gonna kill you. Whoa. Okay, so issue 12, coming up next, is a big issue for Alpha Flight. And this is the beginning of it. Diamond Lil, Box. Now you're going, wait a minute, though. I thought Roger Box was trying to get a hold of Guardian to warn him of what was going on. Why is he here? Well, is he going to turn on Omega Flight? I don't mean turn on Omega Flight. Is he going to turn on them? Well, we'll find out next issue, perhaps. But we also got Wild Child, Smart Alec, and Flashback, just so you get an idea of who the faces are. So next issue, Because You Demanded It, Alpha Flight Together, Don't Miss, and One Shall Surely Die. That, ladies and gents, is Marvel Comics. And our backup feature, Unleash the Beast. Here's where we get sort of the inside scoop on Sasquatch. And what we find out, he's doing this experiment with gamma rays. Now, this might look a little bit familiar to folks who grew up watching The Incredible Hulk on TV. Now, it turns out he was college roommates with Bruce Banner, and wanted to sort of follow in his footsteps. Brilliant scientist, also played pro football, I think in the Canadian Football League, is the idea behind it. And so he builds this device to sort of test what he was doing. Now, obviously, he's not going to, get in the middle of a gamma bomb blast. But he's doing it the way that Robert Banner, it is Robert, right? No, David, sorry. David Banner in the TV show, David Bruce Banner. Funny story behind that is that, and Roy Thomas has talked about this with Stan Lee. Stan Lee did not have the greatest memory for things. They go to make the Hulk TV show. Obviously, Bruce Banner is the name of the character. Supposedly, Stan kind of forgot, and he became David Banner. And so later in the comic books, they decide, well, the character's name is actually David Bruce Banner, to sort of fold it all together. So he builds this machine to bombard him with gamma rays to see what happens. And what happens is, and by the way, that is some spectacular art. The gamma rays, it looks like he's breaking apart and coming back together as Sasquatch with the orange fur and all the good stuff. Yeah. And he busts out of where he was doing the research and into the night. So it's a relatively quick origin there. And so Snowbird goes to check on Lankowski on a request of James Hudson. She finds the lab. She finds that it's been, terribly damaged. Byrne does some really good sci-tech type of stuff. Kirby was sort of the king, of a few things, but also, as we all know, of that. But Byrne did some nice work with high technology, super technology. So she sees what's going on here. Let's see. I warned Department H it was dangerous to set the experimental site in this region. There are mystic barriers here of which no white man has knowledge. If Lankowski accidentally sundered one of them, my post-cognitive sight reveals nothing. This must have happened too long ago. So she goes in search, and she finds him naked in the snow, and sort of wakes him up and takes him. And so Michael T. Youngman, Shaman, is there at the bedside, as is James Hudson. And so he appears to be okay. And he wants to get back to work. And so Hudson says, I've had your backup team checking your notes. Your theory on controlled gamma irradiation holds. Your problem is apparently something in your makeup, biologically or psychologically. And that is where I come in, I take it. And so Snowbird arrives at the hospital. And so ultimately, yes, they find out he's got these powers. And, you can call me Sasquatch. So character-wise, Lankowski is actually pretty jazzed about being a superhero. So he's kind of the opposite of Bruce Banner. He seemingly has control of himself as Alpha. As Sasquatch. And but as we saw an issue or so ago, he found out that he can lose control as Sasquatch, and that scares him quite a bit. And so here we have the teaser. Soon, these heroes will face their greatest challenge, One of them won't survive it. Alpha Flight number 12, double-size issue, on sale April 17th. So, boom. That is the way to end, a year's worth of comic books. But is it BS? Are they actually going to take out one of the members of Alpha Flight? Well, tune in next week and find out when we take a look at Alpha Flight number 12. And one, whoops, let me get this. We'll put that a little. And one shall surely die. So, special double-sized issue. This is a big one, and in my opinion, it is one of the reasons that Alpha Flight, it holds up. Byrne was taking advantage of what he had here to make compelling stories. Obviously, we've seen a bit of a slow start as we sort of introduce the characters. But, if the characters are going to have any impact for the readers, if they're going to care about the characters, worry about the characters, they need to get to know the characters. And so, instead of having sort of the team, facing off against various villains issue after issue, as you learn a little bit about them, Byrne instead, we get a couple, a few issues where they're working as a team early on, and then we get all these solo issues with the backups showing how, the characters, their origin. Kind of all designed to make the characters important to you. And then you get, and one shall surely die. And that's pretty bold. And so next week, we will take a look at Alpha Flight number 12 and find out what happens. So, folks, what do you think of Alpha Flight number 11? What do you think of Omega Flight? Do you dig them? Do you hate them? Who do you think? If you've never read these comics, who do you think is on the chopping block for issue number 12? If you have read the comics, or if you know the Marvel history, don't spoil it in the comments. But if you haven't and you want to throw some guesses out there, go right ahead, because, hey, that's what comic books are really all about. So until next Alpha Flight Monday, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have some fun out there. And I will see you next week. Oh, also, like, subscribe, share. You know how we YouTubers are. If you want to, do it. If you don't, that's fine too. I can't force you to like my videos. I can't force you to subscribe. If I could, I'd be doing a lot better on YouTube right now. Anyways, so I will see you next time. Alpha Flight Monday, we will look at issue number 12, and it's going to be a barn burner. Bye-bye.